Welcome to the first session of this mobility movement challenge. Today we're going to be working on the hip area. We're going to be looking at hip flexors, quads, hamstrings, and also glutes. We're also going to be doing a little bit of hip rotation, internal and external rotation, and just moving our leg around as we're in one of the positions. I hope you enjoyed today's session. It should be no longer than 15 minutes. If you have any acute pain at any point, just ease out that position. You shouldn't feel any pain and maybe just a little bit of a pull. You all know your own body. There's no point damaging it. There's no such thing as no pain, no gain. That doesn't exist. So just work with how your body's feeling and let's get going. So coming to the top of your mat or into a space which you're working within, feet hip width apart and adopting a position that is good for you. So for me, my posture, I'm going to throw my hips forward just a little bit. So I'm aligning my torso with my legs and I'm also going to be dropping my shoulders, depressing them down and having my palms facing towards the front of the room. Nice, strong position here. I'm going to put my hands on the hips and then I'm going to take a small step back with my left foot. Then not too much, maybe about half the mat's width. And then I'm going to slowly lower into a lunge position, dropping my knee onto the mat. Try and make this a nice and slow movement. You might feel a little bit creaky here. You might need to adjust your foot. But just go with how you're feeling and maybe just hover just briefly off the mat before you drop down. So staying here, maybe adjusting that right leg out just a little bit so you've got hip width apart for both your legs. And from here, just throwing those hips forwards a little bit, keeping those toes tucked so we're feeling a pull down the fascia of the sole of the foot. Throwing those hips forwards, pulsing for 3, keeping those shoulders low, 2, 1. Untucking those toes now, allowing the top of your foot to rest on the mat. And just doing a few little circles here, not making them too big, nice and small, both directions for 3, 2, 1. Just find some stillness, find some balance, try and level off your hips and lower those shoulders if you've got them hunched up. Taking that right leg forward just a little bit, extending this stretch. So really feeling a pull down the front of the left hip flexor all the way down into the quad, maybe down towards the side as well. Really working your body forwards. Again, you might need to adjust yourself as you go, allowing your torso to come down towards that front leg. From here, again, just moving around here, left and right, forward and backward, getting a little bit deeper as you go down. If you feel comfortable to, just take those hands down in between or inside that front foot. You might want to walk that front foot out just a little bit. So in this position, you might want to walk it out a little bit. You can just let this leg drop out a little bit. We're just doing a little bit of hip rotation there. So from here, actively pushing away from the mat. So you can see my shoulders here. I'm not allowing myself to collapse. Active in the shoulders, engaging right the way through to my fingertips. My foot is also firmly on the ground. I've got like a tripod here. So my big toe, my little toe and my heel are all gripping into the mat at this stage. Moving around. 3, 2, noticing how it feels on your wrists. 1. Taking your right hand to the middle of the mat, popping your left hand on your hip and then just rotating up towards the ceiling. If you feel comfortable to, just extend that left arm up towards the ceiling. Otherwise, just keep that hand on the hip for 3, 2, keep breathing, 1. Slowly drop down with control. If you can, put your hand on the mat, go for it. Otherwise, try and pop your left elbow on top of your right hand and then reach up again, keeping the movement nice and controlled. 3, 2, 1. Hand down, elbow down. Last time, all the way up. For 3, maybe go a little bit taller with that hand. 2, 1. Elbow all the way down. I'm just dropping that hand onto the mat. Switching over hands, we're going to do it on the other side. You might want to adjust yourself if you find yourself tight in that left hip flexor or your right hamstring starting to sort of fatigue a little bit. Just move around out of it and then come back into the position, dropping your left hand to the middle of the mat, lifting that right hand up onto the waist, reaching your head up towards the ceiling. 2, 1, dropping the hand down. If you can get the elbow to the hand, don't worry if one side goes looser than the other. It's harder this side to get the elbow down. Lifting up for 3, 2, 1. Hand down, elbow down. Last time. Reaching all the way through for 3, 2, 1. Hand down, elbow onto that hand. From here, we're just going to move that front foot back just a little bit. So we're in this position. We're really nice extended here. We're actually going to move this front foot back a little bit and allow our knee to track over our toes, really working on that ankle dorsiflexion, so the angle between the top of our foot and our shin, trying to keep our heel planted here. You might need a little bit of support by placing your hands down onto the mat, but you might want to bring that left knee in just a little bit, just to allow yourself to weight bear slightly differently. The aim here is to keep your heel down, so whatever position you're in, just keep working through it, wiggling that ankle, keeping all of that, trying to keep your tripod stand, so big toe, little toe and heel, pulsing forwards for 3, maybe moving in little circles if you're comfortable, 2, 2, 1, slowly pushing back into a variation of half split. So you're transferring your weight from the front all the way back. Maybe easing out that right foot out in front of you, lifting those toes towards the ceiling. You can pop back onto your back heel, otherwise you can be in an upright position. If you're in the upright position, we're wanting to make sure that we're feeling a pull down the back of that front leg. So really trying to engage those toes towards the shins, draw those hips back, and really allow your body to sort of utilize this position to feel a nice pull down a posterior chain. But 3, 2, 1. From this position, we're going to maybe place our hands either side of that front foot if that's comfortable, or we can be upright. It just requires a little bit more balance, keeping that core nice and tight. We're just going to drop that right foot out as far as we can, trying to keep those toes up towards our shins, wiggling around here for 3, 2, 1. Back up to center, maybe drawing those toes a little bit more up to those shins, and then internally rotating for 3, 2. Try and rotate from the hip, not from the knee. So if you're finding any pain on the knee, just ease out that position, bend that knee to add a little bit of strength there. Coming back up to center, and then coming straight into what we call a pigeon position. So I'm going to plant my hands either side of that front foot, take that front foot across to my opposite hand, and drop that heel back to my hips. So from a side profile, dropping my left leg back, walking it out, and allowing my hips to come close to the mat. Coming onto my elbows if that's comfortable. And again, just trying to find a position that works for me. So you want to be feeling this, pulling down the right hand glute through the hamstring. You might also feel it on the outside of the thigh as well. And maybe on the inside of the thigh, depending where you're tight. Just work with it. As long as it's not really painful, it should be absolutely fine. So moving around here, maybe creating little circles. Keep on breathing for 3, 2, 1. Placing your hands underneath the shoulders, really gripping the mat, tucking the back left toe, pushing that right leg up towards the ceiling. Just reaching up, doesn't matter how you do this, pointing your toes, flexing your toes, then dropping it back down and moving into a variation of down dog position. So I've got my feet just widen the hip width apart, and as you can see, my fingers are splayed on the mat. And I'm just bending my knees, bending my toes, trying to draw my head through my shoulders, taking my gaze to where my ankles are, really moving around, trying to get some movement here. Also bending in one knee and then the other knee, taking a peek under each armpit. So really creating a nice amount of movement here for 3, 2, 1. When you're ready, placing that right foot in the center of the mat, taking your left foot forwards and coming in to your lunge once again. So try and get a nice little angle here, so a rectangle between the front sort of calf and the back thigh, keeping those toes tucked initially, driving your heel backwards, stretching out the fascia, the connecting tissue on the sole of the foot, keeping those shoulders nice and low, just pulsing here, moving around. for 3, 2, 1. Dropping those back toes. Sitting a little bit more upright if you can. If you feel your ribs flailing, just tuck those back in. You've got a nice aligned spine here. For 3, moving around, maybe left to right here. 2, 1, taking that left foot forward. So creating a little bit more pull on the right hip flexor now, maybe going into the groin area as well. Again, either resting on that front thigh if that's more comfortable, moving from side to side, little circles. 3, 2, 1. Dropping both hands down inside the left foot. If you need to move that left foot out and drop the knee out to get down, that's fine. And from here, just going to move around again. For 3, 2, 1. Taking my left hand and placing it in the center of the mat. Lifting up my right elbow, allowing my torso to twist round with that arm, taking my gaze up towards the ceiling. That's hard on the neck. Just keep your gaze neutral, so keep it in line with your spine. 2, 1. Dropping the right hand down, maybe taking that right elbow to the top of the left hand, and then going up again once more into that thoracic twist, and maybe extending out that arm for 3, 2, 1. Controlling the movement down. Dropping the hand down, maybe the elbow, and then coming up once again. Last time for 3, really reach tall. 2, 1. Hand down onto the mat, elbow maybe on top of that hand, and then switching over. So starting off, hand on the hip, twisting through. 2, 1. Taking the left hand down. You can take the elbow down. Remember, this side's a bit harder to take that elbow down. And then lifting back up again. If you want to extend here for 3, keep breathing. 2, 1. Drop that left hand. Left elbow towards the right wrist. And then push up again. For 3, 2, 1. Drop the hand. Drop the elbow. Secure your position, move that left foot back and track that left knee over the top of the left toes. Again, we're working on dorsiflexion, working on the length here, the Achilles, the calf, you're going to feel that pulling, keeping that heel nice and grounded. You can weight there a little bit more on that left knee if you'd like to, or if it's too much, just place your hands down onto the mat or move that right knee in just so that you're managing this as we're moving towards increasing that mobility in that joint. Moving around left to right, circles for 3, 2, 1. Slowly pushing up, allowing that left leg to come out in front of you. Again, adopting the position of your choice. Remember, you can hop down onto your heels or you can move up into this position, causing sort of, or using some trying to stabilize as you do so. So initially I'm going to draw my toes towards my shin. Keep breathing, lower those shoulders, try not to hold tension in the upper part of the body as we're doing this. Drop those hips back just to get a little bit more tension on that hamstring, that glute, maybe feeling it down across the calf, maybe to the heel. 2, 1. Pointing those toes down towards the mat. Just briefly feeling a pull on the inside of the front side of the shin. And then dropping those toes out towards the left-hand side of the room. 2, 1. Bringing them up, dropping them inwards. Remember having the rotation from the hips, not from the knees. For 3, 2, 1. Slowly maneuvering back into that lunge position, placing your hands either side of that front foot and maneuvering into your pigeon. So taking that left heel down towards your right hip or in between your right hand and your right hip, whichever place is comfortable for you. And then slowly lowering yourself into this pigeon position, feeling a pull on the outside of the thigh, the hamstring, the glute. Wiggling around, finding the tension. A little bit for 3, 2, 1. Placing your hands underneath your shoulders, tucking those back toes, taking that left leg up right behind you, planting it down on the floor and walking your feet towards your hands, planting your heel with every single step, or as close as you can get. You can bend your knees here. That's more comfortable for you. Coming into a nice forward fold position here. Linking those elbows, just allowing your body just to relax here, briefly tucking the chin into the chest, and then slowly rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, having a nice little micro bend in the knee. Taking your time, keep breathing here, really trying to work your way up the spine. Ending up in a nice standing position, palms towards the front of the room, low shoulders, feet gripping into the mat. Thank you very much.